Welcome back, everyone, to my online course for research methods in psychology. My name is Frank Losciavo. I'm your instructor, in case you might have forgotten. We have a couple interesting things to discuss, so let's get started. One great thing about scientific research is that it can involve everybody. And there are essentially two different routes that you can take to be involved with research. And in this video, I'm going to discuss both of those routes. The first route involves producing your own research. So if you develop the necessary skills, you can conduct your own research studies, either independently or with a research group, which some people refer to as a research lab. For example, a researcher might say, "My lab has started collecting data on an exciting new project examining hostility in online relationships." The second route is somewhat more indirect. It involves consuming the research of others, such as by reading published journal articles or by watching news segments that report current research findings. Consuming research also involves incorporating research findings into your life, whether that's your personal life or your professional life. Both routes are great, so let's get to work and discuss each one. I mentioned that one way to interact with scientific research is to produce your own. And I think it's relatively obvious why producers of research are so important. If nobody was out there collecting data and making sense of human thought and behavior, then there would be no compelling journal articles to read, such as Milgram's article back in the day, no legitimate textbooks to consult, no news stories to report on. In other words, if nobody was publishing new research, the world's collective body of knowledge about human thought and behavior would stop growing because nothing new would be added. And we'd stop making progress toward trying to understand each other. We always need new, up-and-coming researchers in the pipeline. We need new researchers who will collect data tomorrow, and the day after that, and well into the future. My friends, some of you will be those people. So the question becomes, how and where can you, yes you, produce your own research? First, you can conduct at least some research in this class, Research Methods in Psychology. We'll spend the majority of our time learning about the ins and outs of research methods, but we'll also spend some time on a few projects where we'll collect data. I don't think we're going to add much to the collective body of knowledge about human thought and behavior, but you got to start somewhere, right? And this class, my friends, is the place to start. After you learn the basics of research methods, you might want to register for Psych 3940. That's where you'll work with a professor, typically in their lab, along with their graduate students and their undergraduate research assistants. In most cases, you'd work on one of their ongoing projects. As an undergraduate student, I worked in several labs while at Cleveland State University. That experience helped me prepare for graduate school. And that's the next step in a young researcher's evolution, graduate school. Some graduate programs focus on research more than others. A good PhD program will focus extensively on conducting research. It's interesting because you'll go from reading somewhat confusing journal articles as an undergraduate to writing those journal articles as a graduate student. This picture may or may not show me as a graduate student at Ohio University. Trust me, grad students work hard, but the smart ones have a lot of fun too. And then, if you make it through graduate school, you might decide to conduct research professionally, maybe as a college professor, or as a practicing clinician working with clients, or as a research scientist working for the military, or the government, or business and industry. If you're looking for mentors, you don't need to look any further than OU's psychology department, which is well known for its research productivity. These are pictures of Dr. Julie Sewer and Dr. Chris France, both professors in the department and both prolific researchers. They're just two of many gifted faculty researchers in the department. But not every undergraduate psychology major is going to become a professional researcher, right? So let's talk about the second way of interacting with scientific research. It's true, most students won't go on to become professional researchers. So most students won't publish books and journal articles, and most students won't contribute to the growing body of knowledge about human thought and behavior. Trust me, that's okay. Really, it's fine. In fact, many, if not most, people who are trained to be researchers won't contribute very much to that body of knowledge. That's because life often gets in the way. For example, I'm trained to conduct research, and I do conduct some research. This is one of my most recent articles, but I spend the vast majority of my day teaching, not conducting research studies. It's possible that your life might end up that way as well, where conducting research isn't your primary focus. That said, from this point forward, I want you to pay attention to how often you encounter information based on scientific research. Have you read any textbooks today? Of course, textbooks are often full of scientific information. Have you been online today? If so, you've probably scrolled past several news stories where reporters shared research results with the public. Have you been to the doctor recently? If so, you probably wanted to know what's the best way to treat your migraines, or maybe your anxiety, or your bad back. In other words, you wanted to know, what does the research say about these issues? Because when your health is at stake, that's when things get real, right? You want to know the truth. So where do you look? You look to science. That's a good thing, people. The scientific method is one of the most important inventions ever. But remember, I told you previously that it's not natural to think scientifically. We need to learn how to do it. We need to practice. In other words, there's lots of scientific research out there, and that's great. But it's not all created equally, so we need to learn how to evaluate it. We need to learn how to interrogate it. We need to learn how to become savvy consumers of scientific information. That's important because you'll rely on scientific information for your courses, for news stories you find in print and online, for important decisions about your health and wellness, and you'll also rely on scientific information for your future career, particularly if you go into the field of psychology. For example, if you work with anxious or depressed clients, you'll need to know which therapies are most effective. You'll need to know what the research says about various drugs and different types of psychotherapy. You'll need to know about this research because your clients and your colleagues will expect you to administer treatments that have been proven effective. That's what we call evidence-based treatment. And if you want to be successful throughout your career, it's important to focus on treatments that work. Well, much of this course is geared toward training you to become that type of savvy consumer, a savvy consumer of scientific information. I'll train you to ask several key questions about the research you encounter so that you can quickly assess what type of research study was conducted, what kinds of claims were made, and how appropriate those claims were given the study's internal, external, construct, and statistical validity. Sorry to get all geeky on you, but that's where we're headed. That's right, we're going into the weeds, my friends. In some courses, you might not focus on the details, but in this course, we'll focus almost exclusively on the details. Because when it comes to scientific research, the details really do matter, a lot. For example, a poorly designed experimental study examining a new treatment for depression cannot isolate and test that new treatment if the study lacks internal validity. To be a savvy consumer of scientific information, we need to know what internal validity means, and we need to know how to check for it. I don't want you to freak out too soon into the semester, but trust me, my friends, we're going to become intimately familiar with these 4 big validities. That's a good thing. You're going to learn a lot about evaluating research, and those skills will enable you to harness scientific results for your own benefit and for the benefit of others. If you study hard, making sense of psychological research may become one of your new superpowers. Well, that's it for this section, but stay tuned because I'll have more to say about research methods in the next video.